oldest daughter works for that ministry, and Rock serves on the board and is vice president. Now, you know, in several states tonight, we wouldn't be able to do this, many states. So I want to remind you, a public service note, make sure you go vote, okay? Stay safe and go vote. Now, please give a good, warm welcome to Rock Slaughter.
apart, and in all that the devil would love to hate, depression over me. But your word, oh Lord, brings me sweet victory. Although I know that there is trials come out purer than gold. Just makes me love you more and more. Yeah! That's one there written by my cousin, Michael Slaughter. Well, it's been many years ago since we first met the Lord and decided to place our hope and trust in Him. We knew we needed someone to come and show us the way through the many, many valleys that we knew we would have to cross. Life's been so good to us, and we know the reason why. For the Lord has guided us through the good and bad, and He's never let us down. Blessings rise about, and there's never been a time when we didn't keep faith in God. We've had sorrow and care, we've had burdens to bear, and many a time our hearts did break in two. But we held in God's hand, though we didn't understand, for we knew somehow the Lord would see us through. Sometimes tears fill our eyes and our hearts have made us sigh, and we know these things in life are expected to be. But in every trial, there is comfort and power, and there's never been a time when we didn't keep faith in God. No, there's never been a time when we didn't keep faith in God. No, there's never been a time when we didn't keep faith in God. I never felt like this before. I never knew such bliss before. I never had real peace before I found the Lord. I can't explain just how I feel, but praise God, I know that it's real. I never felt like this before I found the Lord. And now I've got happiness in Jesus all the time, just to know that He loves me so, gives me peace of mind. I never thought such joy could be. I didn't think that it really, really happened to me. I never really lived before I found the Lord. Now I've got happiness in Jesus all the time, just to know that He loves me so, gives me peace of mind. I never thought such joy could be. I didn't think that it really happened to me. I never really lived before. I never had such peace before. I never had such joy before I found the Lord. I never really lived before I found the Lord. Oh, you won't believe the difference till you try. one way. Oh, you won't believe the difference till you pray. Oh, you won't believe the difference till you've tried it and you found that your life has been made over and new happiness abounds. Till you've known the joy of serving Him, felt His presence every day. Oh, you won't believe the difference till He's in your heart to stay. Oh, you won't believe the difference till He's in your heart to stay. Now that was a medley done in honor of cousin of mine, Henry Hayes Slaughter. Used to travel around. There's not too many of us. Well, there's a couple of us old enough. Oh yeah, Dennis, you're older than me. You remember that? Yeah. I thought this was just a bunch of young people. We got a couple of seniors here tonight. But that was done in honor of Henry Hazel Slaughter, who traveled around in the 70s. And when I did that one, I guess I was 5 years younger, and woo! I think the next one I do in honor of Henry, it'll be slow songs that he does. But it really is an honor and privilege to be with your congregation and be with you again, Swanee. It's been 3 or 4 years since we were together. I think it was a senior retreat that I brought some seniors to somewhere. I don't remember where it was. Atlanta. I don't know. Pigeon Forge. I don't know. He does them all, so I don't do very many of those. But it is an honor and a privilege. And I have to say this, give you a little swell head. This is the first time that I've opened for a big name person. I'm honored. Woo! Man! I am, buddy. I can write that down in my journal now. I can put it on my website. I've opened for Swanee. Not everybody can say that.
I followed the rock.
Greg told me not to say anything or I'd get started, and my wife's over here saying, this is my last one, Swanee, and then it's all up to you. This is a new arrangement of an old song that Dad Spear wrote, and Ben Spear, not Ben, Brian, Brock's son, put together the reunion, Spear family reunion, and this is one of the songs that they do, and he was very kind to send me this track. And you let me know how it is. If you don't like it, I'll tell Brian. If you do like it, just let me know by smiling, okay? Now, I might get a little excited here because I am a little Pentecostal, but just hang on, okay? Long years ago, when I was sin, I had no hope, no peace within, down on my knees in agony. Well, I prayed to Jesus and He gladly set me free. I never shall forget the day when all the burdens of my soul would roll away. It made me happy, glad and free. I'll sing and shout, for He's everything to me. Oh, sinner, come to Jesus now, at His dear feet. Just humbly bow, confess to Him your every sin. He'll save and cleanse you, give you peace and joy within. I'll never shall forget the day when all the burdens of my soul they roll all away. everything to me. Oh, sinner, come to Jesus now and his dear feet. Just humbly bow, confess to him your every sin. He'll save and cleanse you, give you peace and joy. And I'll never shall forget the day when all the burdens of my soul will roll away. I'm glad and free. I'm singing, shouting, for he's everything to me. One more time, I'll never shall forget the day when all the burdens of my soul will roll away. Make me happy, glad and free. I'll sing and shout for he's everything to me. Oh yes, I'll sing and shout for he's everything to me. Oh, I'll sing and shout for he's everything to me. Yes, it is. Woo! Thank you so much. Turn it over to Greg or Swanee or I'm out of here.
Known as America's Minister of Encouragement, today's guest speaker took a leap of faith when he stepped down from pastoral ministry after having served for 23 years and stepped up to the microphone as the Swan on stages and platforms across America and the world. The Swan quickly became known as America's Minister of Encouragement. His quick wit, engaging conversations, and timeless stories are sure to captivate audiences of all ages. Each year, the Swan shares the message of hope and laughter with more than 150 organizations, including faith-based groups and corporations. The ministry of encouragement is a job that he takes very seriously. Although Denis has traveled the globe, some of his happiest times are spent with his beautiful wife, Laurie, his 2 adult sons, Chad and Dustin, and their wives, and his brand new grandchildren. Whether hosting a successful TV series, authoring books, or creating DVDs and CDs, the Swan's message is one that is sure to fill the room with joy and inspiration. Please put your hands together and give a warm FBC welcome to Mr. Denis Swanberg.
Well, I just made your pastor's day. And y'all didn't even hear that I was talking about my cousin back there, Paul, and his wife, Brenda. And they're in North Augusta, so, treat them right and everything. They'll give you tickets to the Masters. Well, they're not having the Masters. Well, they're having the Masters, but I don't guess anybody be there but Jesus and the players. It's important to come and have a good time in these days. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to start right off with the scripture. And I know someone will be impressed going, well, this morning he started out, I didn't know if he's ever going to get to the Bible. Well, tonight I'm just going to cut through real quick, Craig, and just say this. I love Ecclesiastes chapter 3. There's a time and place for everything. There's a time, a season for every activity under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. I don't remember my birth. I don't know about you guys. I guess I'll remember my death when I'm going, oh, and next thing I know, I'm with Jesus. Will that be a cool transition? Like, I've often wondered when I see him face to face, I wouldn't mind going right as I'm eating Bluebell ice cream. I mean, can you imagine seeing Jesus and hopefully he says something like, well done, good and faithful servant, and then you respond with mint chocolate on your lips going, so good to be here. Okay, moving on. There's a time to plant, a time to uproot, a time to kill, and a time to heal, a time to tear down, a time to build, a time to weep, and a time to laugh. And I could go on, there's others. You know, there's a time when you weep, but then there's a time you laugh. And we ought to work on that just as hard as anybody. You know, Proverbs 17:22 said, a merry heart doeth good like a medicine, but a broken spirit dries up the bones. And if your bones dry up, they get brittle and break, and then you can't walk or run, and then you got to take Boniva for bone density. Boniva for bone density. Sally Fields took Boniva for bone density. And I may have said this 3 years ago, but I tell you what I do for my bone density, Bluebell ice cream. That keeps you good. But I think oftentimes it's better to laugh than to cry. You know, we cry plenty. Life can throw all kinds of stuff at you where there's tears. You know what I'm saying? But if in the midst of it all, we can find a little bit of laughter sometimes, it helps. My daddy, Floyd Leon, man, he's given me some material over the years. And I love my daddy. I miss my daddy. The last 7 years of his life, he had that Alzheimer's. And that's a bummer. You know what I mean? And there's times I think, am I entering into it? And especially when my wife looks at me like, you don't remember where you put that? I'm going, I know where it is. I'm just testing you, woman. You know, it's so hard to get women to submit these days. But, you know, I wonder sometimes, man, am I starting like my dad, you know? But 7 years had that Alzheimer's. And Mama, Pauline Bernadine, took care of him. And she insisted that he's not a problem. And the whole time she kept him, she always said, he just has a little memory problem, just a little memory problem. I went, a little memory problem? Mama, he's got Alzheimer's. I think he just has a little memory problem. I mean, my mama would say, Daddy, get me a Dr. Pepper out of the refrigerator. He'd open up the cabinet, you know. That's not a refrigerator. Open up the refrigerator. I said, Mama, he doesn't know. He doesn't remember. He knows what a refrigerator is. And then finally he'd open the refrigerator door, and he'd, instead of, give me a Diet Dr. Pepper, he'd bring out grape jelly, you know, Welch's grape jelly. Daddy's not a Diet Dr. Pepper. I said, Mama, he doesn't know. He's doing the best he can. He knows what a Dr. Pepper is. I said, Mama, you're crossing over. You're crossing over. Well, I'm going to tell you something. If you're with someone like that for 7 years, you might be getting a little, you know, you might start slipping yourself. You know, but, man, she took care of my dad. Towards the end, he finally had to go into hospice. And I remember one time going in to see my dad, and, you know, he's in that hospice unit, and he's in a wheelchair, and here was a mountain of a man, you know, 6'2", 220 in his prime. Now he's in this wheelchair, and he's out there by the circular where the nurses' station is. It's like in a circle. They're working their little charts and stuff. And a bunch of other people are in their kind of wheelchairs, lean backs, and they got I Love Lucy on the big screen, and nobody's watching it. And some of them are asleep. Just, you know, you don't know, is he dead or she dead? I thought, well, I ain't giving them mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. I may pop them in the chest, but I ain't going to put my lips on their lips. But anyhow, and that was before COVID. Now, just go be with Jesus. But anyhow, so I went over to my dad. I said, Daddy, how you doing? He went, hey, how are you? Hey, you doing good? Everything going good? And he went, every woman here is pregnant. And I looked around. Everybody in there is 80 plus. I said, Dad, I don't think so. He said, every single woman. I said, well, you live here. I guess you ought to know. And you know what he did? He went. You know, we still laugh about that today. My little mama, 91 years old, we'll laugh about that. And you know this is what's interesting. After he died, you know what she tells everybody? He had Alzheimer's for 7 years. But, you know, it's like while he was alive, she was going to fight all that. But, you know, sometimes you got to laugh a little bit. One time I took him to the mall. It was Highland Mall there in Austin. I think it's called Highland, right off of I-35 and Highway 290. And it was a mall, and the malls were more popular then. And I said, Mama, you go do some shopping. Go see if you can find some Alfred Dunner outfits. Alfred Dunner. You cannot beat Alfred Dunner. Little blouse, little jacket. The breeches are elastic. Just woo, woo. They just work with you. And I said, you go shopping. She said, Daddy, you can come with me. Let Daddy come with me. I said, Mama, I got Daddy. I said, we're here at the food court. I got Dad. You go on. I got my daddy. Well, Daddy, then you be with Denis. I said, go, Mom. I got him. I can handle this. Well, it doesn't hurt for him to come with me. I went, go on. He said, I'll go with her. You know, she was his security blanket. I said, you go on, Mama. I want you to shop for an hour, and I'm going to take care of my dad. Finally, she took off and looked back. Stay there, Daddy. And I'm going, I got him. And finally I said, Dad, how about a cup of coffee? You know what my dad said to me? You want to split one? You know, they split everything. If they went to Wendy's, they split a meal and drank out of the same cup. But that builds up immunities when you're a senior adult. And, but I said, we're not splitting a cup of coffee, Daddy. We can split one. I just need a sip or two. I said, we're not splitting a cup of coffee. Good night. So we're walking over to Annie's. For some reason, they like Annie's, the pretzel. They like their coffee, probably because it's cheaper or something. So we're walking over there. I said, I got some coffee. And he said, you sure you don't want to split one? I went, no, we're not splitting a cup of coffee. And then you know what he said? That's why we have something and y'all don't. You know what? I think he's more and more right about that. You know, a little laughter can go a long way in your life, in my life. And I was asking Craig if he thought it was all right if I told you this story. I can't remember if I told it last time, but, you know, I'd call on my dad to check on him, you know, when they were down there in Austin and before the time that, you know, he had the Alzheimer's. And I'd try to call him on Sunday. Sunday is the best day to call your mom and daddy. Wake them up from a good nap. And they'll be irritated, but they'll fake it for Jesus. Hey, what's going on? You know, yeah. I got you in your nap, didn't I? Oh, no, we're good. All right. Everything going all right? Oh, yeah. How was Sunday? It was good. I said, all right. How's Brother Kai doing? Is he still preaching good? He's behind the cross. I said, well, that's where you're supposed to be. He's behind the cross. I said, well, I'm glad to hear it, Dad. So everything went good. And then he said, Fred McNabb. He said, Fred slipped one in on us this morning, the music man. I said, what do you mean he slipped one in on you? One of them praise songs. I said, Daddy, I don't want you to be negative about the praise songs and music. He said, it brings the young people. I said, Dad, that is a great attitude. And then my mama chimed in. We never say anything negative to anybody but you. I said, well, I'm so proud of you, you know, but y'all are sensitive that it brings young people. It brings the young people. I said, y'all are octogenarians, and this is just tremendous that you have this attitude. And then my dad said, you remember Bill Olson? I said, I know Bill Olson, Daddy. His farm was right below your mama's daddy's farm. I know, Dad. I've known Bill Olson since I was a kid. He's a Lutheran. I know he's the Lutherans haven't been hit like we have with praise songs. I said, well, you're probably right about the Lutherans. I said, but I've been in some Lutheran churches and they have a little praise music. Not like what we're going through. And then he said, he called me the other day and said, Floyd, could you explain those praise songs to me? I said, well, Bill, it'd be like if I was out in the pasture and I came into the house and said to Pauline, the cows are in the corn. That would be a hymn. But if I came into the house and I said, the cows are in the corn, the cows are in the corn, that would be a praise song. I see you over there. Hang in there, buddy. You were doing good up there today. You did good. And but a little laughter, it can go a long, long way, you know. Sometimes I get carried away. Sometimes I hear my daddy from the balcony of heaven. And this is what I hear him say most of the time. He goes, I don't know if I'd have told that one. Sometimes I go out of bounds, but I get back in bounds real quick, you know. But my dad, old Floyd, man, that guy, you know, I miss him. He was of that generation that didn't really just say I love you all the time. You know, I'm telling my boys, I love you, boys, love you. You know, tell my grandkids, love you. Well, they weren't into that love you business. But I know he loves me. I'm going to tell you what, my daddy, he'd go to work every day at 6:30 in the morning. He ran printing presses for 45 years. You know, when a man does that, he loves you. He loves me. I knew he loved me. And in the latter years, he would say, you know, I love you, oh yeah, love you, yeah, all right. But he wasn't into it. I asked my mama one time, I said, I hugged my dad, and I kissed him right on the cheek. I just gave him a big old kiss on the cheek. And I asked my mom later, I said, do you think Dad liked that? Well, I don't know. She said, ugh. I said, well, Mom, he's my dad. I just kissed him on the cheek. Well, I know, but. And I said, well, do you think he'll ever kiss me like that on my cheek? Oh, my gosh, no. Everybody's a little bit different, aren't they? But laughter, to be able to laugh together and get tickled about life together. I was wanting to share with you a couple of stories. One story I don't think I shared with you last time that I was here. I don't know if you've ever been over to Mud Creek Baptist Church in Hendersonville, North Carolina, but it's a great church. And I was telling them the story of when I'd been at Johnny's church at Woodstock, and I'd spoken there, and I said, listen, drive me on into to a hotel, the Marriott, by the airport, so I won't have to get up so early in the morning, because from out there it'd take 45 minutes. I said, just bring me on in. So they brought me into the Marriott right down there by Atlanta Airport. And I get to my room, and I'm one of the floors way up there, and at night, you know, I'm just going to tell you the way it is. You know, I put on my gym shorts, and I'm sitting there. I'd ordered room service, got me a cheeseburger, onion rings, and watching ESPN. It don't get any better than that. And it was late. It was 11 o'clock at night. Here I am eating a dadgum cheeseburger. But you know what I mean? You know, you got to eat. And so when I finished eating, then I opened the door, and I was going to slide that tray of food and slide it out into the hallway, because I don't know about you, I don't like to smell food while I'm sleeping. So I was going to slide it out the door. I've done this a million times. And when I was sliding the food tray out, the door to my room slid right on off my hip. And I'm out in the hallway. Just me and Jesus. And in my little undies. And, sir, I'm just giving my testimony. I guarantee at the time I wish I wore boxers, I'll tell you that. So, you know, it's after 11 o'clock, Pastor, and so I'm out there in the hallway, and I'm sort of oh, man, it's 11 o'clock. So I just thought, surely there'll be a businessman that'll come on my floor, and I'll see him, and I'll say, hey, I locked myself out of my room. Could you call down there, But I waited, and no one came. No one came. No one came. So finally, I'm going, oh, my gosh. So I go down to the lobby where the elevators are. A lot of times they'll have a phone, there in the lobby by the elevators. No phone. And I'm going, oh, man. So I keep waiting for someone to come up, to help me so I won't have to go down. Finally, sometimes you got to bite the bullet, buddy. And so I said, I can't stay out here forever. So it'd probably only been 10 minutes, but it seemed like 30. And so I sort of got my little undies all fixed up, tried to look as good as old Johnny Bench in Sears catalog when he used to do commercials for underwear. So I get on the elevator, and I go all the way down, and that Marriott by the airport, if you're ever there, when the doors open, you walk straight out, and there's the registration desk. To my right is glass doors where people are coming in. And I'm seeing these people come in. I'm going, why couldn't they be coming to my floor? And I see all these people, they're looking at me, and I go, and I sort of feel like a Tim Conway. I went, okay there, okay. And finally, I just boldly, there's some guys at the counter, and I just sort of spoke over them to the gal behind, and I said, ma'am, locked myself out of my room. I was putting my food tray out, and the door came. I locked myself out of my room. She didn't even skip a beat. She just went, I'll get security. And, just didn't even look, Well, that was sort of a bummer, here I am, He's just an old man, And so then I'm standing and just, and people are coming in, looking at me, and the business guys are going, what is the deal? I went, locked myself out of my room. I put my food tray, and so I didn't. And they're just, and then here comes security. And it was this, a woman security. And she was a big woman. And she had like a light blue shirt and navy blue jeans, had the belt and gun and everything and patches and everything. And she looked at me, she said, come in. And we get on the elevator. She said, come on with me, I'll take you up, on the elevator. So we get on the elevator. It's just me and her. Well, I'm standing there. I'm trying to tell her. I said, I was speaking at a church, and my food, and and she's just like, oh yeah. And then I realized in the elevator, which I didn't notice before, they had mirrors. There were like mirrors all the way around. And when I saw that, and I saw the mirror, you know how you see a mirror, then that mirror shows you that mirror that's behind you, and then that mirror shows you what's behind you. And I realized I had not given that area much attention. It's getting worse, and I'm going, Lord, help me. And so the door open, and we go and we get to my door, and I go, thank you, ma'am. If you just open up, she goes, excuse me, procedure. And she goes, gong, 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 gong. Knocks on my door. I said, there's nobody in there. I said, if there was someone in there, I would have had them open the door. I'm sort of about to lose it. She goes, procedure. I went, procedure. Finally, she waited. Then she opens the door. I went, thank you, ma'am. I said, this has been very embarrassing. I'm sorry. And she goes, I need to see some ID. I said, have you not seen enough? I had to go get my driver's license. I bring my driver's license to her, and she looks at it, and then looks at me, and looks at me, and then goes, you've gained some weight, haven't you? I went, I didn't tell my wife about that for about 3 months. But finally, I told her, and she laughed, and we laughed, but it wasn't real funny at the time. Sometimes life just throws some things at you that are okay, and they're funny. Some of y'all remember the old classic, my first early days. Y'all were talking about the first, cassette tape you had. I'm out in the back of the church, and the preacher says, what should we do with sin? And I just stood up in the back, and the voice of Don Knotts, old Barney Fife, went, nip it in the bud, Oh, you got to nip it, nip it, nip it. Well, when I finished saying nip it, then my daddy Floyd Leon took me outside, and when he finished, I did Forrest Gump before Forrest Gump was ever created, because I basically said, I feel like I've been bit in the buttocks. But anyhow, my daddy gave me the right hand of Christian fellowship. Are you with me? My daddy, I mean, we got spankings. You know, I've got these two grandbabies, you know, one's 2 and one's 7 months, and I'm wondering, do you ever give a love tap, or you have to wait till your kids are gone, or do you not, or just time out, put them in a corner? I wish I'd have had time out. I just whop, whop, whop. I mean, the Word became flesh and dwelt among me. But I'll let them all decide that. But to be able to laugh, that's important. You know, when I was growing up in Austin, Texas, I loved country music. You know, I'd listen to country music channels, and I just did. We had some good disc jockeys. You know, Arlie Duff. Paul, you remember Arlie Duff? Arlie Duff. He wrote that song, "Y'all come now, y'all come see us now." And he's from East Texas. And I think he wrote, "It's the little things that make me love you." So I think Charlie Pride sang that song. Arlie Duff. And then Sammy Allred and the Giesenslaw brothers. He wrote that song. Some of you may remember. He'd be on Johnny Carson, he and old son. "I was going around the corner going 90 miles an hour when the chain on my bicycle broke. I got skinned all over by the rocks and gravel, punctured to death by the spokes." But anyhow, it was a great song. I grew up in Austin, Texas. Back then was Mayberry. Today they've gone nuts in Austin, Texas. You know, they want to be weird. But back then, in those days, it was more, you know, just like, more like Mayberry. I could get my bicycle and ride all across town, and my mom and dad just, "Be home by 5, you know, and just let you go all over Austin. Didn't even worry about it. "Hey, be careful now, be careful." And we would just go. And those days, I'd go out to Grandma and Grandpa's house, Mama and Papa, me, Pops, Poops, Pops, Big Mama, Gaga, Gee, whatever you call your grandparents. And these grandparent names are getting out of hand. My Grandpa Johnson, we'd go out to his house, and we went out there every Sunday afternoon. And my mom and her sister and their kids would go there every Sunday. Every Sunday after church, we went to their house to eat and watch a little TV. My grandpa, I remember he had that television. I can still see that television. Grandma had crocheted a doily. Do you crochet, ma'am? Rock? Does she do anything? Okay. Just messing with you, honey. My wife doesn't do anything either. She goes to the mall, buys a comforter. Well, she doesn't even go to the mall anymore. I mean, I just open up the front door and there's Amazon right there. There's a box. Hey, Merry Christmas. You know, like every day. Do I order anything? Oh, if I ordered something, what did you do? Well, I thought I might. No, you don't need that. We're sending that back. Man, I'm unloading her stuff all the time, and it's good to go. That's great, honey. You can't even call them or question them about it. It felt good to get that out before I go home. But they crocheted, quilted. They quilted. They did preserves. We preserved everything. I mean, we did tomato preserves. We preserved, everything was preserved except Grandma. She was getting more weary down the road. She didn't wear a lot of makeup or anything, just wore a sundress, you know, didn't worry about, she did dye her hair. I told her, I remember she said about my sisters, she said, "I hope their hair falls out by the roots. Hope it falls out by the roots." I said, "Well, Grandma, you dye your hair." "I do not." I said, "Well, you do something." I said, "There's a little blue-purple on the back there." She called it blue, and I blew it. I went, "Well, you blew it big on the back right section." She'd get a Tony. Remember those Tony kits? You know, I remember when she'd administer a Tony kit to my mom. Mom would take a wad of wet hair, and they'd wrap it around, put a toilet tissue square on it, and then wrap it around a pencil, slide it down to the head, take a Sucrep box, open up a Sucrep box, put bobby pins per curl, little curls, and I mean, it smelled so bad. They always did it on the porch, and when they first came out with that milky stuff and milking that hair and that fumes, mud daubers took off. They just, whoo, whoo, they left their nest. One time I called it a 9 dauber do, because there's 9 mud daubers that just took off. Tony, see, some of y'all don't even know what I'm talking about a Tony's. Ma'am, you're having a flashback right now, aren't you? Look, I can tell what she's thinking. I would love to have another Tony. My wife, bless her heart, during the COVID, she couldn't get her hair done. My wife, she dyes her hair. She dyes her hair. I mean, if she didn't dye her hair, it'd be white, white, white. And during the COVID, there was a long time she couldn't get to it, and I almost started calling her Skunky, because it's just a big old white stripe. The roots right there. And I thought it was like the Damascus Road, And she's shorter, so I couldn't help it. There'd be times we'd be passing by, eventually you bump into each other, and when you're together all the time, and I went, whoa, roots. But anyhow, now she's happy. Now she's back on schedule about every 3 weeks. God does a miracle on her hair. And she's a brunette forever. I told her, I said, baby, I quit dyeing my hair, What, are you going to ever quit dyeing yours? And she said, no, I'm not ever quitting. I went, ching, 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 Love my little wife. But anyhow, Grandpa's house, we'd watch television. The antenna, the rabbit ears, put aluminum foil around the rabbit ears to bring in the channel. And this is a classic old story, but I remember when I'd be watching television at home, my dad and mom, they said, we're going to go to Old Bossy, get some milk. We'll be back in a little bit. There's a place called Old Bossy. We'll be back. Y'all turn that TV off. Been watching entirely too much TV. As soon as he'd leave, we'd turn that TV back on. That old sinful nature. Turn the TV back on. I'd be watching old Barney Fife. Oh, Thelma Lou, you're the cat's meow. Ernest T. Bass, Charlene, I love you, Charlene. Ernest T. Bass, you're a nut. I'd watch John Wayne. I always loved the movie The Searchers. And The Searchers, you remember Ethan Edwards, and he was looking for little Debbie. The Indians had taken her away. And little Debbie just happened to be Natalie Wood, and I'd be looking for her too. Some of you old guys, you remember Natalie Wood, buddy. Some of you young ones, just go Google it. Natalie Wood. But anyhow, I'd watch those television shows. I'd watch a Jimmy Stewart movie. I like doing Jimmy Stewart at these senior adult conferences because I tell them, you're getting older when every time you see a pretty girl, man, it does something to you. Your pacemaker makes the garage door go up, And you're getting older when everything hurts, and that which doesn't hurt doesn't work. And Jimmy Stewart, at Christmas time, it's a wonderful, wonderful life. It is. And then I would watch politicians. Ronald Reagan. Well, yes, maybe, no. Some of y'all remember the days when I ran for president. They made a big to-do about my age. I remember drinking coffee with Abraham Lincoln one time. And he said it bothered him too. Yes. And by the way, Nancy was a great president. And then I do my Bill Clinton and go, hey, let me just say this. I was sharing it earlier, but pray for Hillary. But do not email her at this time. Okay, just. All right, moving. Pastors down here going, help me, Jesus. Help me, Jesus. Help me, Jesus. I loved watching television, so I kept watching television. I watched Howard Cosell and Muhammad Ali. Muhammad, I won't praise you. I want him. I'm going to whoop him. I'm the greatest. And I'd be watching all that. And then all of a sudden, I heard that 49 Ford cutting into that gravel driveway. Thank God for gravel driveways. I hopped up and I turned that TV off. You had to get up, turn that thing off. And I went, oh, Lord, help me. Then I'd hear my dad coming up those steps. Floyd Leon, 6'2", 220. My little mama, 5 foot tall, healthy, hang down part on each arm. She can mash them taters at Christmas. She's right behind him. And I'm praying. I'm saying, help me, Lord. Help me. Because back then, remember, even though you turn the TV off, that white dot is right there in the middle. How many remember the white dot? I said, oh, Lord, you get rid of that white dot, and I'll go into the ministry. And that's how God called me into the ministry, the white dot. You know, my mom and dad, they didn't know what was the matter with me. We'd come out of that little church, and my dad would shake the hand of the preacher and say, "That was a good sermon, preacher." Then the preacher would look down at me and say, "Dennis, how you doing?" And I'd just break into Mr. Haney on Green Acres. "How do you do, Pastor? You are one fine man. That was a good message." He looked at my daddy, and my daddy went, "We've whooped him a bunch. We don't know what else to do." Oh, gosh. My mama, she's always saying, you don't have to tell everybody everything. I said, Mama, I'm making you famous. She says, I don't care to be famous. And I said, well, you are famous, Mama. My mom did this a couple years ago in the independent living. You know, she'd call me about everything. And because I'd pay the bills and do all this stuff, so instead of calling my big sister Sherry Darlene or my little sister Terry Lynn, she calls me about everything. And it irritates them because they say, Mother, you can call us and ask us. We have a brain, you know. We can help. You know, Dennis, you don't have to call Dennis every time. Well, I'm going to call Denis. So she calls, and I go, hey. She goes, I said, Mom, how you doing? I'm doing all right. Well, good. You doing everything good there? She's at Green Ridge in Buckner. Green Ridge, independent living. I said, Mom, you doing all right? I'm doing good. I said, all right. Well, anything going on? She said, well, I bought something from, what is it, CVS or what's the, QVC. I bought something from QVC. I said, well, you have your money, Mom. Well, I don't know if they'll take it back. I said, they'll take it back. I promise you they'll take it back. I don't think they'll take it back. They'll take it back, Mom. Don't worry about it. If they don't, I'll come get it. I'll mail it. They take it back. Well, I don't know if they will. I said, well, what is it? She said, Spanx. I said, what? I've got some Spanx. You know, it's like a girdle. It's like a light girdle. I said, Mother, you know, at the time, you're 89 years old. No one cares about your tummy. I do. And I wanted to have it to hold it in. I said, well, good night, Mom. Well, just send it back. I don't think they'll take it back. Well, why won't they take it back? Well, I couldn't get it off. The top rolled down and the bottom rolled up. I said, well, how'd you get it off? I called Sheila at the front desk, and she came up to my room and helped me. I said, well, praise the Lord. We'll just send it back. I don't think they'll take it back. Well, why won't they? We had to use the scissors. I said, don't you ever put something like, I mean, I think it could break a blood vessel or something. I mean, she's 91 now, and she's doing good. I love my little mama. Pauline Bernadine. I remember those days when I'd come home from football and I'd come walking in the house and she's the type that said, hug your mother, hug your mother. I said, Mama, I ain't hugging you. You know how boys can go through a stage. Mama, don't be touching on me. Don't be hugging. I said, hug your mother. I said, Mama, I ain't hugging on you. My daddy, Floyd Leon, was sitting in a lazy boy recliner. And daddies hear what they want to hear. He goes, you better hug your mother, son. And I just barely put my arms around her. She said, that's not a hug. That is not a hug. Then my dad grabbed that stick on the side. Boom! Broke that thing down and said, you better hug your mother. Man, I picked her up. I squeezed her tight. I kissed her on the lips like in the movies. I just planted one on her. Then I pulled away and she said, I'm your mother. I said, well, isn't that the way you and Daddy kiss? No, it isn't. You got to remember, I was just 16 years old. They don't tell you everything. When my daddy died in 2012, I waited a few months and I said to my mom, Mom, what was Daddy like when y'all dated and everything? And she said, I would have never asked my mother or father. You think this will hold me? Yeah, if it don't, lawsuit. She said, I would have never asked my mother or father something like that. I said, well, Mom, I'm a different generation. I know my dad, he was a good man. My dad was a Sunday school teacher, usher, in charge of the tea on Wednesday night supper. He was a fast-pitch softball player. They called him the hurler. He was in the 36th Infantry Division, 21 years. He's just a good man. My dad was a good man. I said, Mama, I know he's a good man. But what was he like when y'all dated? I want to know. What was he like when y'all went out and dated and stuff? She said, well, whew, your daddy was very aggressive. I said, Deacon Floyd, well, he wasn't always a deacon, I'll tell you that. I said, Mother, did he kiss you on the first date? Right on the mouth. Took my breath away. I asked him where he learned to kiss like that, and he said siphoning gas at Fort Hood. I don't know about the Navy. He was in the Navy. Oh, honey, he just swept you off your feet. You must have been on NyQuil or something that day. Bless your heart. Isn't it fun to laugh a little bit? Get tickled, I tell you what, I love my boys. They gave me a lot of material growing up. They've given me a lot of pain too. So I keep telling the funny stories on them because I said, you owe me, But I'll always remember when we were getting ready to, thinking about leaving First Baptist Church, West Monroe, Louisiana, where I was pastor. And I left the pastorate in 95. I'm friends with the Duck Dynasty boys and all their family. I've known them 27 years. I knew them when they were ducks, And, but anyhow, I was wondering about doing this full time. Jerry Clowers was a hero to me, and Grady Nutt, some of y'all remember him. And I just wondered, Lord, could I do that? I mean, would you ever let me do that? And I was wondering about it. Well, I would sneak off from time to time as a pastor to go speak here, there, and yonder, but I'd try to get back as quickly as I could, get there and get back before someone dies, or how that is. But then the perception is of your people, he's gone all the time, he's gone all the time. Well, I'm gone on my day off, or I use a revival day, but the perception is he goes and speaks, and he gets paid for doing it too. He's double dipping. Well, duh, So anyhow, I remember when I would fly out of Monroe, birthplace of Delta Airlines, and I'd fly in, I'd come down that little old ramp, at our little simple airport, and as I'd come down, there'd be Laurie, Chad, and Dusty waiting on me. And I'd come down that ramp. Back then, as before 9/11, just come and hug, and a lot of other people there just hugging, and good time, and people back that still loved going to the airport, picking up their loved one. And we were on like 3 different television networks, our church, so there'd be people there going, I've seen him on television. And I'd overhear some that had hard of hearing, they're loud, they don't think they're whispering. Well, he's gone all the time is what his people tell me, And then you'd be hearing another guy, I wonder what they pay him. Well, I just walk on down and I just hug, Laurie and Chad and Dusty. Then I said, let's go eat. So I said, where do y'all want to go eat? And they said, I don't care. We've been waiting, so we're hungry. Let's go eat. So, you want pizza? Honey, we don't need to eat pizza. How many pizzas do you eat? Well, I don't know. Well, what do you want to eat? I don't care. Just make a decision. I said, well, you want a hamburger? How many hamburgers do you eat? I said, no wonder we men die early. We die early. Y'all wear us plumb out. We're just pooped. We're pooped. Well, finally we go eat, and after we eat, then we go home. And then I said, all right, boys, time to go to bed. So they're little boys at the time. I said, "Come on, let's go. We're going to go on to bed. Y'all go get in your bed." Well, then I go and I'm locking up doors, and then I'm ready to go to the bedroom with my sugar babe. I'm tired and weary. And so when I get in my bedroom, who's in bed with my woman? Both my boys, Chad and Dusty. I went, "Here, y'all, go." "Dad, we've been sleeping with Mama the whole time you've been gone." I said, "Well, you got your own bedroom now. Go on. Here, here." You know, in Texas, in Louisiana, men's "here" is determined by context. "Here, hug your mama. Here, take the trash out. Here, open up the gate to deer camp. Here, go on to your room." So, "Dad, we've been sleeping with Mama. We're going to sleep like this the rest of our life. We're going to sleep together, the four of us, the rest of our lives." And I went, "Here." You go in your bedroom. "I don't want to be in that bedroom all by myself." "God's in there. Go sleep with God. He's in there." And then he's pretty smart, Chad was. He said, "I need somebody with skin on." I went, "Oh." And then what does my wife say? She goes, "They're not hurting anything. They're not hurting anything." So, several days later, I was going to be leaving again to be gone for a couple of days. And I said, "Now, boys," I took them aside when she wasn't around, because that's when you can get tough. If she's around, you have to be, Christian. So she wasn't around, so I went, "Hey, I'm going to tell you what now. I'm going to be gone for a couple of days. And I'll tell you what, if you'll sleep in your bed every night that I'm gone, and if you'll sleep in your bed the night I get home, I'll give you a Hulk Hogan wrestling buddy." Remember those? Hulk Hogan wrestling buddy. They said, "A wrestling buddy, Hulk Hogan." Hulk Hogan. Shake on it. We shook on it. All right. So then, a couple days later, I get on the plane. I leave. A couple days later, I'm flying back in. I'm coming down the ramp. There's Laurie waiting on me. She's 4'11". There's Chad. There's little Dusty. Dusty's ADD. He's in the front. He's going, "Daddy!" And he giving me a thumbs up. I give him a thumbs up, and I'm coming down the ramp. "Daddy!" Give me a thumbs up. I give him a thumbs up. People all crowded around there going, "That's that old preacher." I'm coming down the ramp. "Daddy!" And I give him a thumbs up, and then in front of God and everybody, my youngest son, Dusty, said, "Daddy, nobody slept with Mama the whole time you were gone." Yeah. That is hard to overcome in the ministry. Let it out, buddy. Let it out. Are those your two boys down there? Look at it, man. Just let it out. Take an Advil. Tonight it's been my joy to be with you. I enjoyed being with you this morning. And some are in the chapel. There might be some out in the parking lot. Honk, if you can hear me. Honk, honk. Okay. But the joy of the Lord is your strength. I tell you what, COVID wants to take it away from you. Let me tell you something. Don't ever let anyone rob you of your joy. That is evil. That is the word porne, which means evil. And we're to abhor that which is evil. I'm going to go a little step further. Don't let any people rob you of your joy. Don't let your family rob you of your joy. Don't let your kids rob you of your joy. We've got to realize everybody is on a journey. And sometimes our loved ones and friends aren't along the journey where we're at. I can remember when my sons would come into the house and, boy, they just make a speech and then storm out. I'd look at my wife. I said, "Baby, you want to go to Cracker Barrel? Because we ain't going to let that ruin our night." You have to learn. You can cry plenty, and there'll be more times that you cry. But sometimes you got to say, "You know what? I'm not going to let anybody rob me of my joy." Happiness is dependent on what happens. Joy is a choice. We prefer happiness. we want to be made happy. We want the check to come in. We want everything to be right. We want a clean bill of health. We want to get the job. We want to get the scholarship. We want everything just to go perfect and be good and everything okay. And then we can be happy, and I can sit on the back porch and I can just enjoy my moment. But the reality is something every day is going to happen that's going to want to rob you of your joy. And you would almost rather say, I would rather be happy than joyful. We can be joyful. Again, Hebrews, for the joy that was before him, he endured the cross and despised the shame. And as you read a little further, so that you won't grow weary or lose heart. We don't need to lose heart. Matter of fact, I'm going to speak to people my age and up. I'm 67. So if you're 67 and up, y'all are a little younger. But, you can join me if you want to. But we have to be careful not to let life rob us of joy as we get older. I have my little pill box with me. I have to take pills. I took one at 5:30 for restless leg. If not, when I try to sleep at night, I'm like Elvis. And when I'm at home with Laurie, if I have restless leg, you know what she does? She goes, your knee is jerking! And she's a sweet little person, hardly ever talks, but when you've been married 41 years, they come out of their shell after 40. Your knee is jerking! Huh? Well, I got my CPAP machine on. I don't think she's hollering. I'm startled because a CPAP helps you have deep sleep, and I'm in deep sleep, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. She's hollering, your knee is jerking, and then sometimes it leaks and just and she'll do the same thing. You're leaking! And I go, oh. I was a bedwetter till I was in the 6th grade, and so I thought I had an accident. She said, your mask. So I take a little pill for that. I take a pill at night, E-Todo, like for anti-inflammatory for my neck. I told some of you about my neck. Got a cyst on my neck. That they, we're just watching it. We'll just keep an eye on it. It's right there on it, and just, So I take E-Todo, like Paul, some old anti-inflammatory. Take one in the morning, take one in the evening, just so that I can maneuver my head, And then I take a thyroid pill in the morning. A thyroid. I don't even know where the thyroid is. I just take. I don't want to go there. Good night. I've got a whole thing. Can I give a testimony? I don't drink. I just do drugs. So doesn't that make me better than you? You know what's crazy about us? As long as your sin is bigger than mine, I'm fine. That's sort of the way I feel about it. My boys have had their bumps in the road. I shared some of that this morning. I got that book out there called No More Secrets, sort of shares a lot. There's been times I get sort of holy and I sort of say, Lord, I never did that to Floyd and Pauline. I was a pretty good boy. I mean, I was a sinner, but, I wasn't that bad. Because, like I said, as long as your sin's bigger than mine, I'm good. And the Lord told me way back then, He used the Hebrew word, bakah, which in Hebrew means whole bunch of bull. He said, well, have you ever hurt me? I said, yes, sir. How many times? Thousands. He said, well, why don't you put a lid on it? Why don't you just love your boys? Pray for them, encourage them. Try not to enable them. And I can speak to their heart. The Holy Spirit, may we remember, is the one who draws us. Holy Spirit is the one who convicts us. You and I can't convict anybody of nothing. But the Holy Spirit, He can handle it. So you love your kids, but don't let them rob you of your joy. You need to live your days and last days, even when they don't come, for Thanksgiving or Christmas. And be joyful. And I got this little insight a while back. You know, right now, Andrew, James, AJ, and Maxine, we have access to them, taking care of them. They're taking care of Maxine tonight. And I think, well, they won't even remember that. And when they're teenagers, you know what they're going to do. Hey, Grandma and Grandpa, Mama, Peppa, can't come by for Thanksgiving, going with a friend. Or Christmas, I can just come one day. Okie dokie. I know that day's coming. But you know what? It's okay. You know why? Because in Christ Jesus, I will have my grandkids for eternity. And they will know and remember even the littlest things when I took care of them when they were itty-bitty and loved on them. Changed their diaper. I'm pretty good at it now, man. You give me a handy wipe. Woo, 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 woo. You know, they'll know and will know. If you gave a cup of water in Christ's name, it will be known. And there will be a special reward for something as simple as that lasts forever. So as when the day comes and we're in heaven, and when Jesus calls on Paul Harvey, and Paul Harvey says, and now the rest of the story. Page 2. God will reveal all those things, and we'll know it for eternity. Forever. So that sort of helps me develop my attitude even now about when they're teenagers. Of course, may I say this to the teenagers and college students, and you need to understand that your grandma and grandpa, they think about you all the time. When they wake up in the morning and having their coffee, they're not thinking about their kids. They've thought about them plenty. They're thinking about you. They're wondering about your school, your day at school, or when you're going off to college, Reagan. They're thinking about all kinds of, wonder what he's doing, who's he meeting, what's going on. That's what your grandparents are going to be, and they're drinking their coffee, thinking about you. All the time, want to know how you doing. Duh. Take care of Mama and Papa. Your mom and daddy, they ain't got any money. They've been spending it on you. But Mama and Papa, Mimi and Pops, they got some. So if I was you, I would work it. I'd call them regularly. I'd text them every week. Hey, Papa, how you doing? I'm doing all right. Hey, did you get any rain this week? Got 3/4 inch of rain. Really? All right. I think we got some too. How much? A bunch. They don't even know what a rain gauge is. Fake it. Think we got an inch, Grandpa. Got an inch? We got 3/4. Think we got an inch. What kind of rain gauge you got? Don't lie too much. They'll catch you in a sin, So let me encourage you to love on the grandparents. Matter of fact, with my boys, I would prefer, if they were going to only make one phone call during the week just to chat, I'd prefer that they call my mom and chat instead of calling me and chat. It makes her day, And she doesn't have anything left to give them. Isn't that something? But is that really true? It's not true, is it? you know why my mom is a wealthy lady? She had a good husband. She has 3 kids that she loves. She's got 4 grandkids and 9 great-grandkids. And she's a wealthy woman, isn't she? I tell her all the time, you're wealthy, Mom. You know, you're wealthy. I'll buy you the Alfred Dunners, but you're wealthy because of those kids. And you remember, your wealth is really determined by your relationships, and the people you love is what makes you wealthy. May we not ever forget that. But if you want to encourage someone along the way who's had 40 cancellations because of the COVID, we got some product back there in the back. And you can get the Shade Tree book. They're $10. I only got one left. The No More Secrets is $10. Everything's $10, these DVDs. But you can get 3 for $20. So pray about it, you know. Buy 3. Tomorrow at work, tell them, hey, these are normally $15. Sell 2 of them to some buddies. Get $30. You made $10. And just be sure to tithe on it, okay? And now, do you got some CDs out there, Rock? Okay, he's over yonder. I was on the left. You know, you got the goats, you got the sheep, and but we're got a music man, you got my stuff. So I'll tell you what you do: just go get something forever, and do your Christmas shopping, and you have it done, and you don't have to have Amazon deliver it to your front porch. So that's all back there. But to leave on a serious note, I hope you've enjoyed yourself, but I must say this. If you are here and you've never given your life to Jesus, your joy will never be full until you receive Jesus Christ into your life. I did it when I was 17 years old, March 15th, 1971, on a Monday night in a Methodist revival. And it made the difference in my life. And so, has there been a day like that for you? Only reason I remember March 15th is because a good-looking girl after the service came up to me and said, "Did you get saved?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Write it down in your Bible so that you'll always have it." So I went home and I wrote it down in my Bible. That's why I remember it. Otherwise, I'd say it's in the spring of 71. But because I wrote it down, but I know it happened. I know it happened. My mama told me some years ago, she said, "I want you to know, after you made your decision," it was some weeks after that, I went to the front and I knelt down on our altar, our prayer altar. And no one came and prayed with me. No one came up and asked me, but I made sure I nailed it down that Jesus is my Savior and Lord. And we talked about that the other day. She says, God doesn't have any grandkids, just kids. She said, you don't have to worry about me. I know Jesus. And I did that. I nailed it down after you made your decision. How about that? So I don't care if you got white hair, gray hair, that don't make you holy. If you need to know Jesus, nail it down tonight. Come see the pastor. Come see me. Come see Craig. Come see one of us. Come see Rock. We'd be glad to tell you about Jesus. Pastor,